When the Bell's Guild advisor finally heard about this, she would probably bang her head on the table, Hestia thought. I certainly sympathize with that thought. Next time she checks on Bell, we should both go drinking. Hestia stared into space, distracted by her daydream. The truth was that Bell seemed about to level up, but Hestia kept that to herself. After all, it was just her guess. Maybe she was wrong. He had just reached level 4, and it hadn't been that long since the last Donatus, and if she were to conveniently omit the fact that Bell was ready to level up again after such a short period of time, it certainly wouldn't be. Because she was worried that the other gods would go into mantle-wetting convulsions at such an unprecedented revelation. It wasn't, honestly. Honest. As Hestia argued with herself internally, she let out a long, deep sigh. You've really grown up, haven't you, Bell? Then, gathering her confidence, she continued. From the time we met until now, you've really grown a lot. The boy only blinked in response as she smiled at him, the first person to join her family. I will be back soon. Having finished my status update with Hestia, I leave the mansion. My plan today is to take it easy and walk nowhere in particular. It's true that I need to rest, but first of all, I want to deal with this reaction of being on the surface after wandering so much in the deep levels. It feels like my body is saying it wants to soak up the sun. Given my immobilized left arm, I probably shouldn't move too much, but I think it'll be fine as long as I don't force it. Plus, this is my chance to take a walk around the city. Man, it feels like it's been a while since I walked around town with you like this, Belle. Yeah, I guess we haven't done much just the two of us in a long time. Welf has taken on the responsibility of looking after me while my arm is in a cast. He showed up even though he had just finished repairing mine and Mikoto's weapons. Lily wanted to come too, but as the deadline to submit the report detailing our expedition is approaching, she went to the guild instead. Given the list of irregulars we faced and the fact that we had ventured into the deep levels, Lily strongly resisted being the one to deliver the report to the guild. Her reasoning: if it becomes public knowledge that we have reached the deep levels, it is quite possible that our family level will rise. And if that happens, don't you think our guild debts will increase accordingly? Because they will, you know. What if the guild says, okay, your next objective is the 38th floor? Huh. The most obvious objective for our next expedition mission will be to reach a deeper level, which will be even more difficult, and Lily is not Mr. Welf, but it's still tempting to say, you've got to be kidding me. Even the lower floors are still dangerous for us without Aisha or Liu supporting our group. Forget the deeper floors. But it's possible for us to get stuck on a truly punishing mission or quest, so the clear, obvious, and unmistakably superior choice is to hide the fact that we already achieved it in the first place. Furthermore, we are still completely in the red after the forced march of the expedition we just finished. That's what she said in so many words. No one, not even a god, would casually dismiss the words of a trusted advisor who said so much without taking a breath from beginning to end. I also noticed that when she got to the part about being in the red, a darkness deeper than the 37th floor filled her eyes. Haruheim and I could only tremble in fear at his outburst. Welf and Mikoto didn't seem to have anything to say to her either. Although, to be honest, since Aurenas and Fells knew about what had happened, my guess was that she didn't need to be so concerned about reporting to the guild what happened. Anyway, we finally decided that Lily would say that our expedition ended in failure and that Hestia Familia would accept the corresponding penalty, keeping us a mid-level faction in the city's eyes for a while longer. The truth is, there was no time for us to collect the necessary drop item after our encounter with the massive moss, so we technically failed our mission. If I close my eyes, I can still see Lily's grumbling form as she left for the guild headquarters, carrying a bag containing the not insignificant amount of money we owed them. As a side note, she also forced Haruheim to go with her so she could at least familiarize herself with the guild's processes. Meanwhile, Mikoto is taking care of the mansion with Uka and the others who came from Takamikazuchi Familia Hestia for their part-time job. To check how we are doing. Hey, Belle. Ever since we got back, you've been jumping out of bed in the middle of the night, right? How did you know? I mean, my room is next to yours. So, is it because of how long you spent in the deep levels? Yes. We couldn't rest for more than 5 minutes at a time down there, and we never knew when the monsters might attack. I think my body is still sensitive even though we're back on the surface, I explain to Welf as we walk side by side down the street. Welf gives me a sympathetic look, probably worried that suddenly being thrown into the deep levels has left me with some kind of deep trauma. This is difficult, friend. Does this mean you're not getting decent sleep? And I'm fine. Seriously, it's nothing. Anyway, I think Haruhi must have noticed because whenever I wake up, she comes to my room to check on me. I mean, it's probably also because she's an animal person, but apparently in the night district, they're taught to be very sensitive if a customer isn't sleeping well, so. So she'll hold my hand until I go back to sleep, or we'll read heroic epics together. It's kind of what I imagine it would have been like to have an older sister, I guess. It's really good, I mean. Well, anyway. I'm fine, so don't worry about me. My face is burning after I reveal that Haruhi is visiting my room at night. I only mentioned it to keep Welf from worrying too much, but his expression became unreadable. Wait, why is he making that face? You'd better never, ever let Hestia or Lil E hear about this. We've been fighting so much lately. It would be nice to release some of the tension that has been building for some time. That was my thought process. This is just my guess, but I'd bet that top-notch adventurers like A's make it a priority to spend time on the surface without a specific goal or destination whenever they return from an expedition. Wandering like I am now, looking up at the sky, blending in with the crowd. Maybe it's a kind of ritual to regain your sense of identity. Somehow, after being in the dungeon for a long time, the surface becomes a harrowing place. What should be a relaxing moment becomes tense and stressful. It's like everything seems strange. I think the best example is how I've been overreacting to the slightest sound, jumping out of bed. You could call it an occupational hazard, dungeon sickness. If you can't get used to feeling safe, you can't convince your body and mind to relax, even restful things don't provide rest. That's why I think moments like this are important for adventurers. Hey, isn't that little rookie? I mean, Rabbit's Foot? Ignis is here too. Hey, boy. Isn't he going to the dungeon today? I have some fresh fruit today. How about taking some home? Hey, white-haired guy. What happened to your arm? Did you get hurt in the dungeon? Wow, that must hurt. I'm attracting attention as I walk around town with Welf. Some humans, also adventurers, observe us from a distance. An older dwarf man and an animal lady manning the front of their merch shop call out to us. 2 demi-human children innocently bump into us too. Is this proof that I have reached level 4 and become a second-level adventurer? Hestia is very sweet, so that probably has something to do with it, but I'm hearing encouragement like, hang in there, of people I don't even recognize now. We passed 2 gods and I happened to overhear their conversation. If only I had let him into my family when. Salivating over Belle, huh? Arg, I want to go back in time. I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel about this. You're a bit of a celebrity, no, a real man about town. How it feels. Welf jokes. I mean, I'm happy, but also confused, I answer honestly, embarrassed. I think about Ween and everything that happened with the Xenos. At that time, I was the focus of the city's despair and evil. Going from that to where I am now, with the people of the city looking at me with smiles on their faces, makes me realize how much I've been through. That's right. So much has happened. Then, just as I allow myself some sentimentality for the first time, I hear a surprised voice in front of me. Ah. When I look, I freeze in my tracks. It's a man wearing slightly shabby clothes. He looks maybe twice my age. His black hair is long enough in the front that it almost reaches his eyes. As we both study each other, unmoving, Welf's face becomes wary. This encounter is so sudden that my mind has gone completely blank, and I can't explain why. The man looks like someone you could meet on any street corner. He makes a terribly awkward expression, then turns and tries to escape. I quickly exclaim to his back. "Thanks for the rye bread." I shout and bow warmly. I immediately feel surprise from him. When I look back, I see him turn around, his eyes wide. As I straighten up, we stare at each other for a moment longer. Then he finally exhales and smiles at me. "Look at you. You have truly become a high-class adventurer. And you're the same as always. As far as I can tell anyway." The man scratches his nose and then narrows his eyes as if something had occurred to him. "Ah, listen, you might not want to hear this from me, but..." He casts his gaze downward and scratches his head, apparently having trouble finding his words. Eventually he decides, "Hang in there, boy." I go. I immediately respond with a huge smile. I'm so happy. I have no idea how many people saw me and gave me words of encouragement today, but this person's support makes me overly happy. The man seems a little confused by my smile, and this time he manages to escape. "You know that guy, Belle?" Welf finally asks, after silently observing the exchange. I look for an answer to give to my friend, now with a curious expression as he questions the unknown individual. "Yes, he did me a favor a long time ago. And truth. Before meeting Lily or Welf, or even Hestia. When I had just arrived in Ororio and didn't know how to distinguish high from low. When I was stuck between my own hopes and fears. Back then, could I imagine the person I am now? Someone who met so many people, went on so many adventures and surrounded themselves with a family like that, a family like that? There's no way. Like most people, I'm sure my past self could never have predicted this future. It's because I can't see the future that I move forward with everything I have, as the present becomes the past. I look up. At the top stretches a beautiful blue sky. Orario's sky also appears unchanging, even as it changes. Back then, when I still had a lot to learn, the spring sky was warmer than it is now. At present, the weather makes it clear that autumn is coming. A pleasant breeze ruffles my hair as my thoughts are drawn to the boundless sky. I let myself fall into the memory of that first day.